ladies and gentlemen, I know we are terribly sorry, terribly late for being this delayed actually. So I'm not going to take much time. I'm just going to request everyone to please come in on stage. Come in to their seats. Speakers, I just request all of y'all to please come in on the first row. All right. Okay, first I'm gonna send in my most heartfelt thank you and a warm welcome to each and every one of you present here for taking your time out on a Friday evening and joining us for this conference. It means a lot to us. Your time, your participation, and you being here is kind of commendable to see the interest in what the industry has to share, has to absorb, and we have such brilliant panel of speakers and moderators here. So I'm really not going to take up much of your time, and I'm going to call on stage Mr. Indrajit Sauji, who is the Group Publishing Director with ITP Media Group, to come on stage and deliver his welcome address. Indrajit.
Thank you, Rashmi. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's my absolute pleasure and honor to welcome you all to this 11th annual Smart Office India Summit. It's a Friday evening, and it's overwhelming to see you all in person and to see the hall full to its capacity. A huge round of applause for each one of you for being here today and making this event meaningful. Why Smart Office? Because it's a smart age, isn't it? Today, here we have gathering of smartest people in the industry. Am I right? Thank you. But our kids and spouses are smarter. Once the dumb phone we used to have in the with us is the smartest tool we have today. All our gadgets are smart and interconnected. Our cities are becoming smarter, thanks to the current dispensation. Now we have AI, ChatGPT entering our lives. But when it comes to office, we are still lagging behind. We are surely catching up, but we still have a long way to go. Remote and distributed work is happening around the globe, and it's steadily increasing year on year. Pandemic has just fast-tracked the conversion from convenient to smart. A smart office helps leaders future-proof their organizations and hence needs the tools to make sure their office works well, both for employees who work remotely or in distributed satellite offices or co-working offices around the globe. It also helps provide valuable insights so leaders can make informed decisions about implementing new workplace technologies. The global smart market office size is projected to reach around $2,900 million by 2028 from $12 million in 2021. Growing at a CAGR of 13% during 22 to 2028. The Asia Pacific region alone is expected to grow at even faster pace for more than 19% CAGR. So here we have a great opportunity lying in front of us. In today's summit, we have the experts and the best minds from the industry who may guide us to have the share of our own pie. They'll try and cover the complete ecosystem of smart office, what you can achieve by implementing smart office technologies, and how to start and design your own smart office, and a lot more. And finally, a big thank you to all our partners for believing in us and helping us produce this knowledge forum. And of course, they'll also share what they have got in store for you to help us build our office smarter. A big thank you to AFC, our presenting partners. They'll take care that you have a research-backed ergonomic furniture solution in the shortest delivery span across India. We have Manoj ji, Togaram ji, Agrim Nejwan, and the enthusiastic AFC team to assist you. And they have created a brief experience for you for touch and feel. It's just behind. You can visit there. Signify, our associate partner. They have the best of lighting products that will not only help optimize energy consumption, but will also ensure well-being and productivity of your employees. You will hear more from Vardhaman Jain, Swagata Chaudhary, and the ever-ready Signify team. Hafley, our associate partner, they are here to show how through their world-class interior solutions, they can help you transform not only your space, but also the way you function. More insights will be shared by K. Venkatraman and the energetic Hafley team. Dorma Kaba, our category partner, they are here to ensure your office premises are secure 24/7, with you being in full control of your safety, security, and sustainability, allowing people to move seamlessly and shape their lives the way they want. Hear more from Nitin Sharma, and always happy to help Dorma team. They also have created experience behind. Please do visit. It's just besides the bar. Blue Star, our HVAC partner. Here how they can make and keep you cool with lots of energy saving and host of other benefits. Hear it more from Nitin Sable and the ever enthusiastic Blue Star team. Nescafe, our beverage partner, solution partner, and they have some lovely coffee brewing for your experience there. Arctic Partitions, our category partner. Thanks, Mr. Niranjan Shetty, for partnering with us. They have also a proof of concept behind. A big thank you to the Sofitel team, and especially Dheeraj for being a lovely host. Before I hand over the forum to Rashmi, let me show you a small film of what we are, what exactly we do at ITP, and what, throughout the year what we have done. Can I have the film, Shivali? Thank you. I'm falling short of words to express my thanks and gratitude for all the warmth, enthusiasm, and support you guys have you people have extended to us today. Would also like to apologize to the industry colleagues and people who we were not able to allow due to paucity of space. But for the larger audience, we have taken the event online, and the team is telling me we have more than 650 people. Am I correct? 650 people joining us online as of now, and there are more coming in. Very good evening to the people who have joined us online. Also, let me take this opportunity to thank and shout out to my incredible team who have toiled to put this event together. Please join me to applaud young yet very talented designer, editor commercial design, and today's MC and curator for this event, Rashmi Naikar, for all the work that she has put in. Young and dynamic Priyanka Jarwal for all the effort she has put in to bring in the revenue. Tarun Ledwani, Johnson, Raj Ramani, who had coordinated all of you to ensure you are here in time. Amrita Mohan Kumar and Shrivali Kundar, our marketing and social media experts, who are helping us to reach out to the larger audience outside this hall. And of course, a huge round of applause for our mentor, our inspiration, our guide, the man himself, Mr. Vibhor Srivastav. I can't see him. Here he is. Without further ado, let me hand over the forum to Rashmi. Sit back, relax, and enjoy your evening. People who are standing behind, may I request you to please take the seats ahead. There are seats vacant in the front row, and we are not charging. Please. Thank you. Thank you all. Enjoy your evening.
Thank you so much, Indraji, for that insightful and yet a very warm welcome. Evenings like this are usually not very possible without the support of the industry. And we have with us our presenting partner, Mr. Agreem Najawan, the head for marketing and business at AFC Systems, would just like to quickly take this opportunity to just welcome you all onto this brilliant platform. Please, Agreem. Round of applause for Agreem, ladies and gentlemen.
Just checking, guys, is it working? Hi, good evening. So I'll not bore you with the details. Let me just welcome all of you. And there's this phrase which I recently learned, and just respond if you recognize that. Kasakai Mumbai. So how's it going? Good evening, Mumbai, and welcome you all. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome you all to today's Smart Office Summit put together by the ITP team. And as the speaker before me rightly mentioned, right now we're not only virtual, we're not only physical, we are sort of somewhere in between. It's more of a hybrid structure that we are following. So welcome you all. Welcome to the people who've joined virtually. Welcome to the people who've taken out time from their calendars on a Friday evening, as he said. So I welcome you all. Thank you so much for joining us and hope you have a wonderful evening ahead. Again, I'm signing off. I'll be back on stage again. I represent AFC Furniture Solutions. Thank you so much.
Okay, so I'm going to introduce this. I'm sorry. Hello? Yeah, okay. The next individual that we have and the next session for the day that we have is the keynote address. And to introduce this gentleman, I don't know seriously how to give him all my thanks and my heartfelt gratitude because he's been so instrumental in designing this particular summit, ideating with the speakers who need to be on this platform, the topics, and his leadership quality and his guidance, his advice has helped us out so much to understand such details of the industry that has helped us to pull this platform together. He's a man from Delhi himself. I never spoke to him about how he's settling in Mumbai, though. He's been here with the industry for the past 20 years now, and he's worked with organizations like Sapient and Cushman Wakefield, and now he is heading the facilities and administration at the HDFC Bank. With this, I would love to call on stage Captain Rajesh Sharma to deliver the keynote address.
Thank you so much, Rashmi. Initially, when you said like he helped us so much and you spoke so much about me, I was really thinking as if lifetime achievement award sort of a thing. But thank you, you said 20 years. I have completed 32 years in the industry. So thanks for that data point, which probably makes me a little young. Okay, guys. So good evening, everyone. Guys, he just said I have a pretty deadly combination. Born and brought up in Delhi, now so to say, Javani and Budhapa in Mumbai. So unless until I hear people saying or responding, it's your evening, I'll not go ahead. Good evening, everyone. Okay. Good evening, boys and girls. Okay, generally when I say good evening, boys and girls, all those people of my age and era, like they are at the top of their voices, they respond. So great. Thank you so much. It was just to make sure that people are there. And once again, people standing at back, if you can join in, that will be great. All those people who are standing at back, can you hear me? This was just to test. Can you hear me? Can you come in front? There are seats available, please. Thank you so much. Okay. I'm also glad since Indrajit spoke so much about the topic itself, I mean, smart. And I do have a few notes. I thought I'll cover that. But then after listening to Indrajit, I thought smart is the so-called word, which is what everyone is talking about. And every time we have these smart office forums. So why this word is so important? I mean, what is the relevance? Everyone talks about being smart. It's pretty nice, positive word. But I just thought, let me start with that. And I'll tell you why I'm saying so, because during our interactive session, and I think half an hour ago, I heard someone talking about smartness. And I was trying to relate to what Indrajit said. So guys, we keep saying you need to be smart. You need to be smartly turned out. You need to interact very smartly. We also heard of offices being smart, houses being smart. Everywhere it's smartness. So very interestingly, one of my colleagues, when we were having a cup of tea, was explaining the concept of smartness. So what he was generally talking about was, traditionally, if you are trying to be close to someone and if you come to know that that person is dating someone else, historically, traditionally, you would avoid. He or she is going around with someone, why should I waste time? So let's target someone else because we know he or she is not going around with anyone. So today he explained me the concept. He said that's the wrong concept. Because if you're going after someone who is not with anyone, your competition may be with 10, 15, 20 people you don't even know. He said, but if you know that he or she is going with someone, only one competitor, and you know your enemy, I think that's the smart way of handling a situation. So thank you so much, Nixon. He's coincidentally one of my team member only, and that's, I keep wondering that how does he manage the hospitality? So that's his way of smartness. So anyway, I think from that I learned that we all need to be smart, and smart offices basically as a concept. And today we'll hear also a lot about this whole concept of being smart. But to be very frank, apart from the fact that I represent HDFC Bank, I'm also on the board of a group called GACS. We are one of the knowledge partners. We have a logo here, and GACS stands for Global Association for Corporate Services. The reason it's very important to talk about GACS is again a very interesting story. Around 4 years ago, 2016, 7 years ago rather, a few of us, we got together and we said there are a lot of so-called common issues going around in the industry. So why can't we all spend time and probably figure out the way for it? And we were 30 of us. We call them as the founding bricks of GACS. So we started this whole concept, and today we are 7,000 plus members with 9 chapters in India, 9 chapters out of India, and all are active chapters. So I think the reason, the rationale why we associate ourselves with groups like where we are seated today, I think as a concept, what they are trying to do is they're trying to get everyone together. And I think Rashmi spoke pretty well about the fact that the whole idea is we have partners here who have the so-called solutions. We as consumers are looking for those solutions. I think they in a way play a role in between to make sure that we connect with each other. And I think that's the basic logic. Same way in GACS, the whole idea is if there's anything which we can do for the industry, for the fraternity, we club together and we do it. Just a quick snapshot. We have around 8, we call it Center of Excellence, which covers the length and the breadth of the corporate services domain. So anything and everything to do with that is what we basically take care. If need be, we represent the industry with the authorities, with the government authorities, or any other relevant authorities. So that's the basic concept, and that's the reason we basically participate in such events. Now coming back to the the baseline that when we say keynote speaker, and I was wondering, neither do I have a key. Note to bilkul nahi hai. Bank mein kaam karta hu, but I don't have notes in my bank. But still, I'm known as a keynote speaker. What is the logic like? What we are trying to say? So I think pretty interestingly, and a few of you who know me, I always go with these stories because someone explained me कि ज्ञान अक्सर भूल जाते हैं, but stories याद रहती है. So I think where are we? And I'm talking about last 2-3 years specifically because COVID, we have been hearing about COVID so much. And interestingly, if you guys have gone through the agenda, today we have 3 panel discussions. And if you really look at the key points of these panel discussions, there are 3 pretty interesting words I have picked up. The first one talks about designing and creating next gen workplaces. So obviously we're talking about next generation. The next one is shift in the role of office. So there is something to do with, again, a different or a shift or a change. And the final topic is changing nature of work and workplaces. So all of a sudden I thought that why it's become so relevant for us to really talk about these things. I mean, what is changing? Last 30 years plus, I've been saying I'm part of the industry. Every now and then things do change. So why we are in, like so much into change management, and what's that different what we are talking about? So I think one is definitely we have never ever thought of something like COVID, which forced us to change. But more than that, I think a lot of data points which were shared by Indranil, so I'll not get into data, but very broadly, if you really ask me, I think definitely what I have realized, the power has shifted. And clearly what I see in the industry, I think earlier it used to be for an organization. Now more or less people talk about people. So from organization to people, from me to we. I think that's also pretty interesting concept. A lot of time we used to say me, but now that's become we, because I think this whole concept of health, and I'm sure in the sessions we'll hear about this also, because when we talk about offices, what is changing? So health definitely will be a point of discussion somewhere. So these are 2-3 very, very important parameters which have really changed. And that has changed the overall dynamics of so-called office. And I'm not even talking about the infrastructure of office. I'm talking about the culture of office. I'm talking about the people in the office. So everything is related to that, but definitely there's a big change there. I think we have stopped addressing employees as resources. Earlier, this was a pretty common term. Now, generally people consider them as human beings. I think that's also a pretty interesting shift. And whatever I'm saying, I've just Googled it, guys. There's nothing which is my personal this thing, but there are a lot of data point studies available. That's the sort of shift what we are talking about. And why I'm saying so, because probably it's more relevant to talk about change in today's world. And In the next sessions, we'll definitely hear that. I think somewhere we are also talking about human beings more than the performance or the work. It was always related, but I think a little more emphasis now these days is on the human beings than just the outcome or the output or the targets. So that's, and these are few of my personal maybe views, but very, very important. What I've realized is initially it was like a knee-jerk reaction. Immediately after COVID, what do we need to do? Sorry, someone is raising hand. Oh, sorry. So it was a knee-jerk reaction that, okay, we need to do those. Let's try those. A lot of hit and trials. But I think now more or less people have understood we are settled. And now is the time when we really need to plan how to take it forward from here. And that's why probably it's more relevant to discuss all this. But again, coming back to the story, what I was talking about, and a few of you, if you have heard, bear with me. And the reason that's important is a lot of times when we come for these sort of forums, apart from the fact that Friday evening, what Rashmi said, a time for us to really enjoy. So after the event, there is an enjoyment. But I think still before that, a pretty interesting concept that a lot of time people say, why we are here? Our bosses have told us, or just out of courtesy, curiosity, multiple reasons. Guys, purely up to you. What do you want to see? And I think this is what I heard many years ago. It's still there in my mind. So whether you look or see, they say there is a difference between you look or see. And there are multiple stories, like a gentleman saw an apple falling. He saw something else, which is gravitational force. Normally people say apple is falling. Someone saw a bird flying, and then they thought that probably there can be aeroplane. So it's purely what do you see versus what do you look. The story is, and hopefully this will be relevant in today's environment. Many years ago, we know that there used to be kings and queens and samrajya of the people. It's a very popular thief in one of the so-called kingdom. And the beauty is, this guy never used to tell a lie. Imagine a thief and he never tells a lie, which is the probably worst thing for a thief, but that's the reality. So someone was called in, they said, we know he's a thief, he steals a lot of stuff, but we are able to catch him, what to do. So the best of the best of the best cops were called in there. And they said, now you need to handle this guy. So this guy was given a picket, and one day he saw this thief coming with obviously 5 donkeys, and there are boris on the donkeys, and this guy stops him, says, I need to check. He says, please go ahead. And this Inspector Saab checks everything is fine. There are some wood logs and all. So then he asked him, by the way, who are you? He says, I'm thief. Then this guy thinks maybe this is just by chance that today I'm checking it. Probably next time I'll see him. Today he's not carrying anything. So again, after week, 10 days, again, the same guy comes in, same like 5 donkeys with the bags. Again, he says, I want to check. And this thing continues for weeks, months, and this guy is not able to figure out basically there's nothing and why. And every time he claims I'm a thief. So finally the Inspector Saab retires. But thief, though, that's a self-owned business. So he still continues to be a thief. So after a retirement, this inspector asked him, meets him once and asks him, bhai, puri life nikal gayi yaar, mere ko samajh nahi aaya, I'm retired, I can do nothing. And every time when I caught you, it was either wood or something very, very basic stuff. I can't even figure out what were you stealing like. And that's the time this guy tells him, I used to steal the donkeys. So I think the concept is pretty clear. What is there in our mind and what we are looking at versus what is there available on ground, it's up to us. So a lot of times, like I say, we come, we look at debate and probably feel maybe, may not be. It's purely up to you guys what you are looking at. And believe you me, there are solutions, there are answers everywhere. It's purely up to us what sort of mind frame we are in and what we are looking at. And I think why I always say this is pretty relevant to me, because by the end of the day, whatever 3 sessions we will have, so whatever people will talk here, it's not knowledge. Knowledge, so we all know these days we all have one knowledgeable person, our dear friend, Mr. Google. So it's their experiences. So I think it's always good to hear their experiences to probably get something out of it. A lot of stuff may not be relevant to us, but a few maybe. And it's purely up to us. What do we really want to pick and choose? So I think that's the basic concept. I come for these sort of events, apart from the fact that we do interact, we meet a lot of people, but I think that's one thing which basically fascinates me. So my request is, This evening we've just started, probably another 90 minutes to 2 hours. Please make sure that we are involved, we are engaged in the event, and I think that's the success of any event. So on that note, I would definitely want to thank the whole team of ITP. I don't want to take their names. I'm sure there's a long list, because this sort of an event is not an easy task. A lot of us who manage facilities, admin, we know it's a pretty tough job. So done, as always, a fantastic job. So a big round of applause from all of us to them for this wonderful event. And on that note, thank you so much once again. All yours will catch it. Thank you so much, guys.
Firstly, thank you so much, Captain. That was a beautiful start and a good anecdote onto what the insights that we'll take away. So I'm going to call on stage Mr. Manoj Tomar, who is the founder for AFC Systems, and Mr. Bibor Srivastava, who is the MD, Managing Director for ITP Media India, to please give him a small token of gift and appreciation from our end. Even we decided to go green. Usually we give placards, so we just thought we'd give these plants off. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for Mr. Captain Rajesh Sharma. Thank you so much for that. Thank you, Captain. Thank you, Mr. Manoj. Now, before we go on to our first panel discussion, just a quick brief and glimpse into one of the leading companies in India, especially for office furniture, which is AFC Systems. And we have with us Mr. Agreem Nijavan, who is the head and marketing business for AFC System. He was here to share the podium with me earlier. I'm going to call him on once again. And before he comes on, we'll just play a quick AFC video.
Hi, everyone. Good evening again. And I'm sure you must have seen all the details in the PPT and the video that we just presented. So I'm not going to bore you with all the details out there. Let me tell you some things that were not there in the video. Let me tell you a story of how we started, where we began. The only ask is for the audience today to be a bit interactive. So I'll start with a question. How many of you are aware of 2008 financial crisis, the Great Recession as we call it? Show of hands, please. Yeah, so I see most of you are already aware of that. So 2008, depending on the financial conditions happening in the US, had a ripple effect, had a global effect. India was also one of the sufferers of it. During then, what happened is most of the organizations, up till then, if you were a part of the industry, you would already know. Up till then, the organizations used to buy spaces. So whatever they are doing, they used to buy that. And then post 2008, post the Great Recession, what happened is all of the organizations, everyone wanted to reduce OPEX. They wanted to reduce their operating expenditure, and which gave birth to things like leasing model. Instead of buying an office space, let's lease out an office space. Instead of buying a furniture that's immobile, let's buy a furniture, let's buy anything, be it lights, be it furniture, be it anything that you see around us today. The concept was to make it more mobile. That's when the popularization of modular furniture came into being in India. And our story started then. So the company's inception was in 2008. And the only idea behind was where the large desks, where the immobile furniture was being replaced by something that people can move from one place to the other. If it ends in 5 years, you can take that furniture, take it to the another office. That's how we began, with the idea that let's reduce the lead time. And that's still a big problem out there in the industry. That's our major concern that we strive very hard to solve for. So we boast in the fact that we are one of the best providers in terms of lead time and quality, obviously goes without saying, of B2B modular furniture solutions, end-to-end manufactured by us in Noida with presence across India. So that's in a nutshell what AFC does and what we've been doing. Now, let me tell you a quick fact. Very recently, post-COVID, or after our Prime Minister started being more vocal about Make in India, many organizations started shifting in that direction. Well, I'd like to say this out loud. We've been doing 100% Make in India since 2008. And all our furniture products that's manufactured are in India, manufactured end-to-end by us, and they are sustainably manufactured. So this is not something that we are following a fad and we've been trying to shift gears to that. We've been doing that since 2008. So when we started our journey, it was a small organization since it's a bootstrap. And how it started is that a person was employed in a similar industry and he had this vision. So he traveled from a remote corner somewhere in North India to the nearest metropolitan, which is New Delhi. And he had this vision that if I, through a particular process, can solve a certain problem, why not bring it to a business model? Why not start a business itself? And then the dreams were big, the hopes were high. He started it, and today here we are. So today, AFC is doing, so sorry for that. AFC is doing end-to-end manufacturing of all the B2B modular furniture solutions based out of Noida. Very recently, we've revamped our manufacturing, and I would like to invite all of you to come there and visit us and see the scale of manufacturing that we've built to and the quality that we are promising to deliver. Also, we guys are expanding. One of the key reasons that I'm standing in front of you today is that we now have a new address in Mumbai. Very soon, we'll be opening doors and we'll be launching our offices. And it's in Kanakya World Trade Center. So I'm sure you guys must know that it's in Andheri. And more to come on that soon on the website and news. You guys must be following different forums for that. And post that, we are also launching a new experience center in Bengaluru, followed by Gurgaon. So as I said, AFC has been present since day one, pan-India. And when I say pan-India, it's including tier 2, tier 3, and even the remote corners of the region that most of the companies tend to forget when they're doing business. So our motto has been very clear from day one, that we are here to solve a business problem around lead time and deliver the best quality products there are out there. That vision, we started in 2008. Recently, we've revamped manufacturing, and also we've come up with a new experience center in Noida. And I think I'll be modest by saying it's a gold rated green building. So it's in line with the vision of the organization that we are 100% green manufacturing. And I'd love for all of you to someday visit AFC and see us in action. Be it in Noida, be it in Bengaluru, be it in the region of your choice. But we are trying our best to increase our foothold so that we are able to deliver more in lesser time, as we always claim to be the reason. So with that, I'll not bore you with much more details about the organization. That's about it. And we are here. If you have any questions around how we do business, how do we ensure ESG, how do we ensure sustainability in our practices, what sort of lead time do we offer when we say modular furniture solutions, and what all industries do we cater to? So all these questions, all of us at AFC are more than happy to answer for you. And if for some reason you're not able to find time today, you can always reach out to us at www.afcindia.in. So thank you so much, guys. Thanks for your time. I'll not take much more. Have a pleasant evening ahead.
Thank you so much, Agreem, for that quick walkthrough into what AFC is all about. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've now come to our first panel discussion of the day. Now, the first panel discussion is actually now when I'm kind of reiterating this in my mind, it's conceptualized on designing and creating next-gen workspaces. But I just realized that the word next-gen is not just about the next-gen, but it's also about multi-generational workspaces. Because the inclusivity, the diversity, everything that comes into an workspace, the technology, the sustainability aspect, all that is being integrated today is what next-gen workspaces is all about. And to moderate this session, we have with us architect Hardik Pandit, who is, just 1 minute, who is the director at Apices Studio, that is APICES Studio. Joining him on this panel is Ashish Puri, who is the National Director, Interior Design Services at Colliers, India. We also have with us Mr. Balaji Sankaran, who is the Vice President for Services at Prestige Group. We have architect Poonam Katare, who is the Director for Workplace Design at M. Moser Associates. And joining them is Mr. Nitin Sharma, who is the Regional Solutions Sales Director at Dorma Kaba, India. And we have with them an architect turned an administration professional, Mr. Tanmay Khare, who is the head for administration and human resources at Pidilite Industries. With this, I would love to call my speakers and my moderator on stage.
We live in an interconnected world. The connections within and between our communities are the beating heart of our cities. And the choices we make as individuals and as businesses make an impact. As communities strive towards a more optimistic future, we must come together to face global challenges like climate change, pollution, or inequality. As an expert in everything to do with access and security, we at Dorma Kaba also want to secure access to a sustainable future. So we have embedded sustainability at the core of our vision and strategy. It is a beacon that leads us in everything we do. Our sustainability commitment is realized in actions through empowerment, innovation, and collaboration. We empower our people so that they can unlock their full potential. By creating a safe, fair, and inclusive culture, we enable our employees to thrive. We open the doors wide to a low-carbon and circular economy.
Hello, good evening, friends. Yeah, I think I would like to thank ITP Group for inviting these distinguished professionals on the dais. The panelists joining us today are the trailblazers in their respective domains. Their visionary work has transformed workplaces around the world, pushing the boundaries of design and redefining the notion of what a workplace can be. From renowned architects and interior designers to workplace strategists and human-centered design experts, we have assembled a panel that encompasses a diverse range of expertise. So good evening, everyone. So Ashish, I would like to put this first question on to you. Is the collaboration and teamwork have become very essential these days for innovation and problem solving. So what design strategies do you think can be implemented to foster this culture within the organization, and how does the design take care of that?
Right. So thanks Hardik for that question, and very good evening to all of you. Inviting us to be part of the Smart India Summit. So, like you mentioned, collaboration and teamwork, they have been essential ingredients of design for quite some time now. And so yeah, now when we talk about the new gen workplaces, this is these concepts, how do you sort of, make them more relevant in future? We've been talking about agility, achieving agility. It's the taking the same ideas and sort of then taking it to the next level. For example, when we talk about agility, Google came up with the concept of a garage office, right? Now, what is a garage office? It's a completely mobile solution, right? So everything is on wheels. Essentially, you could move everything from tables to chairs to walls to partitions. So what you eventually have, or what rather you essentially have, is a space which is completely flexible, right? You could do a research sort of discussion over there. You could have a collaboration session over there. You could have your teamwork. You could prototype. You could have a larger gathering, or it is also about the multiplicity of usage of spaces for each of that. So these are some of these things, and then how do you sort of achieve it? So it's things like these which you sort of bring into the office space design. It's about taking the collaboration to the next level. Now, one thing all of us have learned and realized that collaboration is key to success. There was a time during or immediately after COVID when everyone was sort of into the isolation, and that's when we realized the importance of collaboration. Now, the first reason when we used to ask people that why do you want to go back to offices, it was to meet your co-workers, to collaborate with them, right? That was one of the biggest drivers to sort of bring back people to the office. Even now, right? So you ask people that why do you want to go back, because you can achieve your task from homes itself, but then it's the collaboration also. Eventually, the offices, the workplaces, they are becoming hubs for collaboration. As we enter the new age of workplaces, it's the fine balance what you achieve. And yeah, there are various ways of achieving it. We'll probably delve into it, later part of this discussion. But yeah, some of the concepts
Yeah, and with this agility and everything, that you have something which is inclusivity is also which is very crucial as an aspect of modern workplaces. And the modern workforce is more diverse than ever now, encompassing the individuals with different abilities, with different backgrounds and perspectives. So Poonam, I would like to put this to you as to how an interior design can contribute to creating these inclusive spaces that accommodate the diverse needs of and promote the sense of belongingness among the employees.
So I think the core of inclusivity is designing for people, keeping people at heart, without really slotting them as neurodiverse or autistic or anything. It basically means designing a workplace, keeping everyone's need at heart without the person asking for help. You know, it's as simple as that. That is what inclusivity is all about. It's intuitive. So when you get into a workplace, it's intuitive. You don't need to ask someone for help. And it could be anybody. It could be an able, a differently able. We are talking about different neurodiversities today. So it's a workspace which is easy for people. It takes care of all their needs, and it's become even more relevant today because as we get back from we are still in hybrid workplace. We've chosen to still be hybrid, but you want to essentially come back to a workplace to collaborate, to talk to your peers, to use that as a meeting point, and then that workspace which understands your needs. I think that would truly be an inclusive workplace.
Yeah, that's a very relevant point. So one more important aspect of a next gen office design is sustainability. So in that, Mr. Balaji, I would like to put to you as sustainability has become an integral part of modern design practices. So how can the interior design for next gen workspaces include sustainable and energy efficient solutions to create environmentally responsible spaces?
First of all, good evening, everyone, and thanks to the ITP and other media partners for arranging such wonderful evening. Thanks, Hardik, again for moderating very well in this. So sustainability and energy, always there is a belief in our society that when it comes to energy, it is more of mechanical and electrical equipments that talks about energy, that talks about saving. This is the belief we already have, but on the contrary, the interior design or the ID packages what we release have a huge potential to accelerate both sustainability and the energy consumption. So when we talk about futuristic, so what it is actually the future we are talking about. In 1979 or 1980, I believe the population were living in the cities would be around 35% of the total populations. In 2015 census says the population living in city of the overall total world population is about 50%. In 2050, it is going to be about 66 to 70% people are going to live in the cities. This is the future we are looking at. So most of the people are going to be in the cities, and we need to create office spaces for these people, which is essentially more sustainability, because most of them are going to be in the city. We cannot simply construct an office which is not smarter or which is not sustainable. Then the future generation, if we try to see, they are more eco-sense today because they have been teaching out. They have been the schools are teaching, universities are teaching. They are more eco-friendly and they are more human-centric, and they are more of natural. So I think when we do the interior design or office design, all these things, going to be a matter of design, which will going to create a good sustainability as well as energy solutions. So as a technically, if we talk about, there are many aspects we can speak, hours, but we have limited time. So I'll quickly touch upon the things. So when we design, we really look forward for a natural lighting to come in. So we create skylit sort of a solution we are expecting from the architects and the interior designers. The window, the natural sunlight needs to come in. So window wall ratio is the aspect, all the lead or any energy efficient ASHRAE, they all spoke about this. There are clear guidelines available. But we need to be very careful when we design this natural light or the sunlight. This is bringing light act, and also it's bring the heat energy. So we need to really do a compensation of both. Like we need light, but we don't want more heat coming into the office because that put the pressure on the air conditioning system. So in a typical office setup, if your lighting load is say 0.6 watts per square feet, then your AC load is 2.4 per square feet, which is 4 times more. So the balance has to be worked out very properly. So there are smart ways available for that, smart controllers, smartest way to control balance both of these. And other, when we talk about, other things like, when you design a window, DGUs are there, triple glass are there. Even for a small budget, some places we end up, thinking about budget. Then there are films available, which can reduce the temperature, which can completely block the UV rays. Even passing the lights inside, about 80-90%, it can penetrate. These solutions must be taken into account. Again, coming to the sustainability and energy, the indoor air quality is very important. Keeping the mechanical, electrical equipment besides, if you talk about the interior setup, the furnitures, what we are using, has to be more of a longevity, a long life, or the chemicals used for those furniture needs to be more of poison free. If these furniture started emitting the VOC, which we call volatile organic chemicals, then it puts again pressure on the indoor air quality. Then you end up going for a higher filtration of the air conditioning system, or you need to allow more fresh air to come in, or you need to increase the exhaust. These all finally put a pressure on your air conditioning system, though it gets bulkier. So these are the thoughts we need to have while designing the interior. Again, choosing the material, right material needs to be choose your paint. The paint, it should have lower VOC, because future generation, future officers is not going to take all these things. We need to be very clear about this. Coming back to other things like, the smartness, when we are talking about smartness, today everything is smart. So there are good ways to do. So when the interior design, when we approach for a design, we give importance to aesthetics, we give importance to services. So when you select the appliances, with same aesthetics, we have got multiple options. There are small gadgets available. At first instant, if you're able to take them, so you can keep on upgrading them. Like, it also give you more flexibility. You don't need to throw it off, because when there is a technology change, the smart appliances keep changing it. There are simple smart appliances available, like a smart power strip, or the smart monitors, Samsung Flip sort of appliances. When you are choosing, it really monitors the power. When it goes on a standby mode, it simply disconnects the power. The appliance which is not running but just plugged in is taking about 8% of the energy. By applying these smart devices, we can really make our home more smarter. As Prestige, as we have Prestige Group have started doing a lot of projects in Mumbai. Precisely, we are also coming up with commercial towers, commercial building, which is about close to 300 meters, in the South Mumbai, where we are really looking forward the solutions, all the sustainable and all energy saving solutions. We also had our HO built recently. It is more of a smart office. We have a smart glass. The entire controllers are thermostat, which all are IoT enabled. If I wanted to maintain something, I don't need to really climb and spoil the interiors. I can do it sitting in my laptop or in my mobile. So the future holds for these things.
Right. Thank you,
Balaji.
Balaji, for the very good perspective that you give from the services point of view. Now, Ashish, I'd like to put the same point to you. In terms of sustainability, how can, as a designer, how do we incorporate that in the design?
Okay. Sustainability is a big word. It's a very, very vast term.
Absolutely.
And I tell people sustainability is not just a design concept, it's a habit.
Absolutely.
You have to walk the talk, right? So if you look at, it's sort of when you when you talk about how you incorporate that into the design, there are essentially three ways, and it starts with the planning. I think he touched upon that point. That first thing, when you start with your planning itself, you sort of ensure that there is enough daylight which is coming into the whole space, so that you can harness that. That helps you to be sustainable with your energy consumption, right? The second part is, so first is of course the planning. The second part is the materiality, right? So you choose material which have longer lifespan. You look at sourcing material from your local markets. Then you'll also look at sort of material which are less toxic. You sort of look at things which help us being more energy efficient. And then lastly, it's your how you are creating a work environment which is sustainable. There are certain things through habits you have to bring it in, your lesser usage of paper. I mean, these are simpler things, but all of that adds and helps you to sort of create office environments which are sustainable. But again, the most important or the fundamental of sustainability is the energy conservation and how you can reduce your energy load. So it's by introducing your sensors, your daylight sensors, your occupancy sensors. These are these small things. From that, it is also the air conditioning system, which actually accounts for one of the highest loads in an office. So you sort of introduce your VAVs, which then talk to the VFDs and then sort of bring down the energy consumption rather in those systems. And then yes, that's how you achieve sustainability. We sort of believe in walking the talk.
Absolutely.
We recently did our own office, Collier's office in one BKC, and it's LEED Platinum certified office.
That's a very good point you made, Ashish, that it is about the habit. It is about walking the talk. It's not just about keeping it on paper. So that's a very valid point.
Allow me to add here.
Yeah, please.
Good evening, everyone. We are talking about inclusive spaces. We are talking about sustainability. But from the business perspective, and we are talking about good offices. Why we need all these kind of offices and spaces? I think first, this question as a business leadership we need to address. Is it just for optics because we need good office, or is it adding some value to the business? We are talking about sustainability. We have defined very good indicators for economic sustainability. We have EPS, we have profitability, PAT, all good indicators. But what we have, sustainability has three parts. It has environmental sustainability, it has social sustainability, but we don't have the economic indicators for all these things. I think as an industry, we need to define it. There is a role for all these things to have good business, the inclusive business. Let me give you one example. Here I was going through one autobiography of Mr. P.P. Chhabaria, the Finolex founder. When he started business, he was the first one in Pune. They were giving one tea and two tea to their workers. They were creating an environment inside that, but they are spending a lot of money that the competition was not spending. But their profitability was high because due to this small thing, because they were creating that inclusive space, their profitability is high and employees will stick to them. I think everything has meaning in the business. And as a business leadership, we need to find out and we need to define these indicators very clearly. These has meaning. I'd like to give one more example here. It's not maybe from the business and offices. In 2007, one of my friends, he was Chief Innovation Officer to Unilever. He took volunteer retirement and he came back to Gurgaon. He established his foundation. He wanted to do something for the society. So what he noticed in the schools, when the girls were reaching at the age of 12 or 13, there was a dropout. The ratio of girls drop out from the school at that age highest. So he did the research. He found out there was no separate toilet for the girls in the school at that time when they need it most. at that particular age. So his foundation created 50 toilets in these schools, and the dropout rate was up. So this is in society. The same thing happened in the business also. So that's why we need inclusive spaces. I think we fundamentally need to understand it is not for investment. It is for the business. It will create results. And once we have the people, those are working for us, those are working with us, they are happy, they are getting access, they are getting, even if you go to some trains, old trains, it was very tough to enter in this second tier. The door closure was so tough. You were not able to open it. So it is not equally okay for all kind of people. If somebody is very old, he was not able to enter. So I think these kind of things, when we make situation or the programs easily accessible to everyone, those things create results.
Yes, very true. Then that accessibility is something which is very much most important when you talk about the design. Tanmay, you being from the HR, with your HR background, it is something which I will put to you, which is from, it's a very challenging thing for today. It's like today is the concern for the companies is regarding the job retention, while there's a quiet quitting is observed in large numbers. Also, there's the gig culture and the hustle between the jobs and so on and so forth. So in this, how is HR addressing these challenges specific to the Gen Z in the near future?
Okay, so good evening. Thank you, Adik, for this one. Thank you, Team ITP, for organizing this one. I would firstly say, basis on the theme that we have, being smart is an art. You know, ये सबके बस की बात है नहीं है, वो सबको समझना चाहिए. Because we generally have a bad habit of replicating things जो बगल वाला कर रहा है. So as rightly said, if we as an industry try to address this problem as a whole, the entire journey on being smart would be a cakewalk for the generations to come. Not to mention, I am pursuing my PhD in the same topic on smart office infrastructure in corporate offices in India. And excuse me on the tenure, it's almost 5 years now. I've been continuing my journey thanks to COVID. But the individual breakdown of SMART started with SMART. S stands for smart. No, it's sustainability, which is first. Yeah. So S is for sustainability. M is for measurable, because we all do things but don't measure them. A is being accountable. Yeah. So as designers, as users, it is the accountability that we should take, which is very important for all the generations, be it Gen Z or any generation who are out here. R is revenue generating. Yeah. So all these facilities that we design, they are looked up as cost. So rather than taking them as a cost, how do we take them as a revenue is what the overall movement should be around. And last but not the least is the T, which stands for technology. Now the entire gamut is moving so fast. The S to T journey is very, very fast. So बीच के जो डब्बे हैं, उसका alignment बिगड़ गया है. And now it's high time that we as professionals, I'm an architect by profession, but a facility guy by passion, and recently been into employee engagement and related activities. So the overall perspective of workspace has changed from being a one lunch, two punch to an experience-based kind of system. So now employees are focusing on generating experiences and experiencing the experiences which are aligned for them. So as the perspective of taking the overall employee as an asset, which was always missing, now the entire focus has come back. Not to forget, thanks to COVID, the entire employee fraternity is now being more focused on, they're highly focused on family also. So you run a survey, you tell the people you're supposed to come back to your office for 5 days, you get a big no first. So you experience a 3 to 4 or 4 to 1 kind of pattern, But still you will find employees, a certain cadre are more effective working from home. But the psychological twist is here. The employees who take either 3:2 or 4:1, they take more pleasure and privilege in coming back to office for the connect. So the overall gamut runs around the connect that we run for people. And my dear friends, we would be the number one in technology in the coming years, but let's not lose on the focus on the connect of hearts, which is important, which AI or IoT or metaverse or anything will not give you. So that's the overall perspective that I would like to mention about.
Yeah, very well. That's a very valid point about by even I remember like during the second lockdown when there was restriction, but somehow architects were allowed to. They were given some stickers and all that. I remember still putting up on the car, and we were allowed to go. So immediately first day I called up my client to give me that you have some urgent work, and we had prepared those letters. And immediately I was out and I was in office all the time. I never sat home because the same thing, it's the connect that was completely missing being at home. So that is something which is not, which is very difficult for us as human beings to live without. Now, there's one very valid point which you also mentioned is your employee is your asset. So now their well-being is also equally important. So Poonam, I would like your thoughts on like before COVID and post-COVID, what are the changes that you see in workplace design focusing on the wellness?
So I think I mean, for the lack of a better word, one of the good things that COVID brought to us is, we were able to test the whole remote working to the largest extent. I mean, before that, especially in India, we never believed that remote working was possible. In our field, definitely not. I mean, the team leads wanted the teams with them. The bosses wanted to see the team in office. People just had to be in office. But after or during COVID, work didn't stop for anybody. We were winning projects. We were catering to our clients, and everything was possible. It was business as usual, but sitting out of Mumbai, in Bangalore, or even the most remote part of India. What it meant was the workplace of today. I mean, we cannot predict what's going to be the workplace of the future, but I think the workplace of the future is going to be a hybrid workplace full of choices. And importantly, what it does is, and like you rightly said, when you're working from home, there is so much of a work-life balance, which is perhaps absolutely missing, especially in Mumbai, when you commute about 3 hours every day. But there is today an emphasis, even at a corporate level, to kind of, give back that time to your family, to your personal interests, to mental well-being, to exercises, because these are all part of sustainability and wellness. Today, wellness at workplace is become it's key. And what is, clients are asking that their workplace should be well certified. And we talk about well certification, but it is very, very simple. What is well certification? It means you're designing a workplace for the wellness of your person. What is wellness? Mental, nutritional, physical, comfort, all of this. So that is what it is going to be at the core of all workplace design going forward. And we, as leaders in our own right, need to imbibe these kind of qualities as part of a design, whether the client asks us or not.
Yeah, that's a very, very valid point. And Ashish, would you like to add something to it for the wellness design?
So I think she's covered most of it and covered it very nicely. So wellness is an important ingredient in design these days, workplace design. So wellness comes with better indoor air quality. So you sort of enhance that by sort of making those little changes in additional fresh air towards your spaces. It is also catering to spaces like your recreational spaces, your mini sports facilities, because you want employees not to be seated in one place, but to be active throughout. This also includes providing choices in terms of workstations, introduction of your sit to stand desk. It's a simple thing, but you get a prompt that you've been sitting for long. So then it's time for you to stand up and go about your work. So these are these small little things which are sort of getting integrated with the overall sense of the design. And that's what we sort of lead to. It's more of a human-centric approach. We cannot segregate wellness, from the design, especially in a scenario in a post-COVID where everyone there is an enhanced awareness about why is wellness important, because eventually wellness means productivity. There's been a lot of talk about the hybrid workspace, the collaboration, and recently there have been studies that there has been a sort of drop in productivity when people are working from home for very long hours. So now there is, there's this trend that how do you bring back, the productivity back among the employees, and that's where wellness plays an important role. It's right there. It's essential, and then you have these small little things in design which we're doing with this human-centric lighting, which sort of it's your circadian rhythm, alignment of that with the color temperature of the light, bringing biophilia into the space again, freshness, a vibrant workplace, introduction of cycle tracks, promoting, walk to work, cycle to work, things like that, incentivize employees who do that. I mean, that's for HRs to sort of do that. But yeah, there's a lot of things which are, and that's essential for as we move into the future, next gen of workplaces.
Yes, yes, that's a very very relevant in terms of wellness, that it has become the paramount, and the workplaces now need to be human centric, and that is what is the next gen workspace design about. So I'd like to thank all the panelists for for giving us such a wonderful observations regarding and your points regarding all these important things. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Hardik, for that brilliant moderation. And thank you to each and every speaker of mine for that brilliant insights that you brought in. A small token of appreciation from our end. And to present this, I would love to call on stage Mr. Manoj Kumar, who is the Manager for Specification Sales West at Signify, and Ashish Pachohar from the Regional Manager West with Hafley, India, to come on stage and please hand this small token of appreciation to our speakers here. Just give us 2 minutes. If you can just come in front, we can have the photo op. Thank you so much for that moderation. Ashish, this one's for you. We've gone green too, listening to all of you. Yes, I hope that's this. Thank you. That is Poonam Kothari from M. Moza Associates. Next is from Mr. Tanmay Khare from Pidilite Industries. We then have with us Mr. Balaji Sankaran from Prestige Group. And finally, Mr. Nitin Sharma, who was joining us, the panel members from Dorma Kaba, India. Thank you so much, panel members. Thank you a lot for all your insights and the knowledge that you shared here. Before we move on to the next panel discussion, We have our next partner on stage with us. And I would invite Ms. Swagata Chaudhary, who is the segment head for office, retail, and hospitality, along with the professional channels for Signify India. Before she comes on stage, I would love to play a small AV from Signify.
A very good evening. Audible? A very good evening to this August gathering here. In the next few minutes, I would like to share how Signify as an organization is contributing to brighter lives, better world, and specifically focusing on office lighting. So with that, I would like to start with a small intro video. Signify, the world leader in lighting, we as an organization have experienced 6 transitions of technology. Starting from incandescent bulbs, today we are in the connected era. And proud to be associated with this organization, which has turned #1 through all the technological transitions. Today, we operate out of 74 countries, and we are 100% carbon neutral in the year 2020. The world is talking a lot about sustainability. There is a lot of pressure. The panel here was very high on its recommendation, but there are ways to do it, and we have found how we can contribute there better. Climate action. Today, we need to be more saving in whatever we are doing, be that in energy, be that in the resources that we are using to get that done. Are we not looking at recyclability? So electronic waste is a lot of landfill addition. Can we minimize that? We do that with our lighting products, enhancing circular economy. We are strongly into agribusiness globally. We ensure we are aware that there will be a high need of food, and how can artificial lighting contribute in growing more food in the less possible time. There was a point mentioned in the previous panel about how security and cities will have more people coming in. So that's where security, both for outdoor as well as indoor, is very much in the core in what we do. Goes without saying, we are here today to discuss about people, to see how we can get in more well-being, and lighting plays a very key role there. So the new dawn in offices cannot happen without these 3 pillars. But let me focus about how we contribute for designing a better environment completely around sustainability. So this is data. It's not English, right? So, yeah.
Sorry to intervene. I think me and Captain Rajesh will agree. We are no longer in the forces. Otherwise, we would have ordered a pin drop silence, which we can't do right now. But all those at the back, I think the speakers here deserve some respect. Please, I request you all to remain silent and please hear what's going on.
Okay, so this is data. Any organization which is investing an X amount today is actually looking at spending 90% of its resources on employees. There was a mention about resources not being the talk of the town. It's about people. It is how we connect better, right? So if energy is just 1% of your headache, actually people is 90%. So getting an environment which is benefiting your employees is hence the most important aspect of what all you are doing. We are aware of it. So we know the problem statement. We probably can be a better partner with you in solving that. So how do we do it? We are in the business of lighting, yes, but we understand your needs. And lighting today is just a sign of communication. You saw that in the video there. Today, the lighting system is just not product. It is basically a platform which shares data. We can get you data on your air quality. We can get you information about your space optimization. We can let you know how your employees are physiologically expecting that place to be used. So today, if you have one corner of the office which is more noisy, because there is more collaborative discussions happening there, you can analyze that on a dashboard remotely and see how you can make better use of the space. So the other section is not getting disturbed by a collaborative working. So all can happen on a lighting platform, and lighting is omnipresent. You do not do your offices without lighting. The same platform can today help you get data on this. And as I would use the word that the panel mentioned here, Ashish, I think, so we walk the talk. We've already done it. We would like to see this magnifying in the number of applications that we are using it henceforth. Goes without saying, today these spaces are collaborative, right? So design is a very, very critical element in what you're doing. You cannot have those boring fixtures, if I may say, right up there on the ceiling. So we are there as well with innovative designs. So it is important that we use the designs rightly. We know optics, so it is just not a fixture which is a metal body. We understand how optics can best optimize that space. And looking at it, we know how we can put those design elements to various applications. Indoor is just one application. We do this with a lot of space optimization in terms of getting the same fixture, giving you different kind of experiences, whether it's for task lighting, whether it's for ambience lighting, collaborative spaces. So you don't have to add elements. The same product can do it. And it is designed and implemented basis your need. Goes without saying, outdoor falls a very critical element in this whole application. And we are there with our solar clean energy as well, brightening up your facades, getting your brands, your brand upliftment happening, your lighting, talking your brand. As I was saying, solar, wherever you have landscape spaces, because it's green, it's easy to implement. So we use this in multiple spaces. And lastly, Signify as an organization is beyond products. So we are just not talking a fixed box, a dumb box. We are into services where we do an end-to-end value addition to your system. We also do innovation because a very good percentage of our revenue goes into R&D. And obviously, the track that we have as an organization, which is, we proudly call ourselves, we are a 125-year-old startup. So thank you. That was all from my end. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Swagata. Now, all right, so we have the second panel discussion of the day, which is titled The Shift in the Role of an Office. When I was ideating on this panel, the topic with the moderator of this panel discussion, she had so much ideas, she had so many thoughts, but she's decided to narrow it down to few important points with the essence, keeping the essence of the panel discussion and with respect to the speakers. She has put immense thought and flow into what topic she needs to pick up. So with this, I am going to call on stage my speakers, but until then, we'll just have a quick look at the Nescafe video. Requesting everyone in the back to please come in and take your seats ahead. Okay, with this, I'd love to call on stage my moderator for this panel discussion, Ms. Meera Diwan, an industry veteran and great leader. We also have joining her on the panel, C.T. Sadanandan, the Head of Facilities and Administration at Tata Communication. Joining them is Rajiv Sen Gupta, the consultant for commercial real estate at HDFC Bank. And we also have with them Mr. Manish Gupta, Director for Commercial Sales at Hiranandani Group. And we also have architect Karthik Punjabi, who is the Principal Architect at Vijay Punjabi Consultants Private Limited, which is VPCPL. And finally joining them is Vardhaman Jain, who is the commercial leader and for office industry, retail and hospitality systems and systems and services for Signify India. With this, I'm gonna hand over the mic and the podium and the stage to Meera ma'am to take this over and go ahead. Over to you, panel members.
Thank you, Rashmi. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. I'll just give 2 minutes to the panelists out here to be seated with their mics on.
Hello.
Hi. Be seated.
Pleasure come here.
Good evening, friends. As mentioned by Rashmi, the topic for our esteemed panelist here is shift in the role of the office and its impact. This could be on an organization, its employees, corporate real estate professionals, facility management professionals, architect, designers, and all affiliated with an office. The trigger, to a large extent, has been the recent COVID pandemic, when organizations realized employees can work from home and still contribute immensely, delivering the results desired. The need of the hour was also economizing. Both of these led to shrinking of office spaces and change in the role of the office, from a physical office space to an employee-centric office with hybrid working style involving flexibility, freedom working, open office seating, spaces for collaborative thinking, entertainment zones, and the list can be endless. On this note, we'll open the floor for discussion with my first question to the panelists. What is the operational reality and complexity being experienced by corporate real estate professionals in enabling businesses in this situation? Mr. Sen Gupta, would you like to share your thoughts?
Yes. So I think all of us have gone through a hell of a time during the COVID. And while it was a disruption worldwide and in the corporate world, very sad things of affairs, but there were a few silver linings. And in no time, I recall my organization where I am associated with, we were back into action because of technology enablement. And I know of a lot of these multinationals, they bought laptops, UPSs, dongles, and supported online business, and it worked. But unfortunately, I'm coming from the BFSI sector, which has a people connect. There they had to, the front line had to manage with, and there was a lot of sacrifice. We had a lot of lives lost in this frontline management. So one thing what happened is during this phase, we learned how to work away from office. And when we learned, then the figures, the people who look after the finances realize, oh God, this is not a bad way to get your work done. And a real estate part, which is the third element, is getting impacted in a big way. But while it was a great success, I think in IT industry per se, because I understand that people were not coming back after going back to the native place, earning the same amount and not spending in a major city. And whereas BFSI, the story was a bit different. At least what I look at is that people, while the thought process at the top level is people should have a hybrid model, and people who are actually the people who work want to come back to office. So this challenge we have learned, we are trying to address it. And at the same time, while we are creating much more hybrid workplaces, but the mindset change will take some more time. You know what is happening? We can create an office, we say it's agile, sounds nice, but we have seen in life, we made an agile office, which basically says you come in, plug in your system and you get the seat. But what we are seeing very often is that people go into the office and sit in the same place every day. So that is a challenge that we are seeing. But there's a change, but the change is not as abrupt as we saw during the crisis period. Thank you.
Mr. Savan, would you like to add a few words on this?
Thank you. Am I audible? All right. Thank you, firstly, for having me here. Just to add to what the previous speaker said, obviously, the current scenario is something which we as a group of professionals have not been used to for the years prior to COVID. And with the impact of COVID, as we have seen, the workplace paradigm has shifted. There were organizations actually operating on a hybrid model even before COVID, I am aware of. But the magnitude of that with the impact of COVID has become much more, and we see that it's an accepted norm today. So obviously in this scenario, the traditional way of managing and addressing the requirement of, as we say, the office, which when we say clearly indicates something within the four walls, has completely changed. Because today the work is not generally happening in that so-called office. Work is happening anywhere. It is borderless, it is distributed, it is seamless, and yet it has to be integrated. Hence, the paradigm also has shifted for the professionals who actually deliver the services to the organization. Add to that is the increased adaptability or the increased need for adapting technology that has come in. Obviously, if we are dealing with a group of people who are working in a hybrid distributed model, the technology has to be there to enable that in a seamless manner and ensure the productivity that is expected for the business. And as in the previous panel speakers were mentioning, the human element of that also to be true. So that is what bringing in the added complexity to the professionals, such as the group sitting here. So we need to change our mindsets. We need to say that we are capable of delivering the same kind of experience, whether it be in the office or people are working remotely elsewhere. Bring in the aspects of connectivity, accessibility, and the quality of service at the same level, and ensure that the business expectations are delivered. So that is, I think, the whole realm which is changing the paradigm and making the role of the real estate facilities, employee support professionals more relevant and more impactful in this current and in the emerging scenario.
Thank you. Now, considering this evolving scenario, do you all think there is a need for integrated thinking and closer collaboration between the corporate real estate professionals, the facility management professionals, developers, architects, designers, technology solution providers who played a very major role during the COVID pandemic? Mr. Punjabi, I would address this to you being an architect and being at the receiving end. Whenever always corporates make designs, you start the work and next you know it has to be changed. I think we've all experienced that, and so have you as an architect. So
yes. Yes, absolutely. And it's been a big challenge looking at the change. It was easier to get people back home.
Can you hear it?
Okay.
Guidance, I think that is the
It was easier to get people home once COVID broke in. And today the challenge all corporates face is getting the people back in. And when I think back of those days, we thought that social distancing and everything we spoke was the things to remain. But today, the biggest challenge is why would the people come back to work? And it's never been ever before in the last 22 years that I've been working here that it has been more important how happy the employee is at work, how the employee will be happier at work more than he's at home, right? Which is impossible. And there have been instances where I've noticed clients who are not as much involved as they are now to be concerned about employees that they are now. And it is the employee deciding what the architect's designs are going to look like. One of our clients in a competition told us that the evaluation was done by a committee formulated of our employee heads of the teams, and they interface between themselves. So we are going to give you a presentation now on your presentation on what they have asked us is their wish list. You have been selected, but not for your design, for further inputs that come from them. So having said that, developers haven't changed. They still have people coming in, and it's the clients who have to now keep evolving every day on what they need. So yes, the challenge we face is, nor does the client know what they need, nor do the employees know clearly, and we have to stitch all this up together. But always and always, whenever we are approached as an architect, the client knows what is the cost he wants to spend. He knows how much time he wants the project in, and they know when they want to start their business. So all these have created more complications, but now it's become routine. It's always everywhere there. If it doesn't come up earlier, it'll come up later. And yes, we've been managing that, and the challenge is getting people back to work. Workplace is more like a playground now. If we had a recreational space dedicated in a closed area, taken away from the workspace, today we are being told the pool table should be within the workspace. If we had a collaborative space, today one of our clients asked us to create a living room, kind of a space as a meeting space. So people feel they're sitting in their living room and working here. And these are things of reality that different people come with different inputs, and we take them, and not that one works for another. So it's new ideas with every different client every day.
Very interesting note that here employees are deciding how they want the office rather than only the clients or the management deciding how they want an office. So definitely there's a huge shift. As developer, Mr. Gupta, how are you seeing the change?
As far as the, thank you for giving me this opportunity to be here. As far as the developers are concerned, I mean, we were the first ones to get impacted as far as the COVID was concerned. While this entire debate on how much hybrid, what percentage of hybrid is still yet to get settled, whether we are 15%, whether we are going to be 30%, and what impact does it have on the workspace and the requirements, and what kind of spaces that people are likely to now demand from the occupiers. It is also having an impact on us. More of new concepts like wellness have been in vogue. A lot of people are asking for better indoor quality. Sunlight became one of the key points out of the COVID learnings, wherein people said that better sunlight into offices is very much required. Although you have to again then balance it with the kind of heat impact that it creates on the office spaces, the heat islands that it creates. So you have to create those kind of balances as far as design is concerned. But I would like to just inform the audience, like at developer stage, at times when we work on larger contracts or larger client requirements, this integration or this approach of doing large build-to-suit offices, build-to-suit campuses, it involves taking the entire feedback from the clients right from ground zero. It gives you the feedback from the wish list of the business guys, from the admin guys, doing the security, but also it gives you filtered expectation of the employees, what they want from the campuses. So as far as our job is concerned, we have to continuously keep our ears to the ground to understand what is the new reality which is coming in. More of these spaces, new spaces that are coming up, they are going to get green powered. 100% building power will be done by green energy. That's the new theme which is coming in. This is in, again, the sustainability aspect of it. A lot of reuse materials, whatever can be used for your construction purposes, that is something which is going to be coming in. A lot of recycling of water, STP water for your cooling and all that. Those were the impacts which were already going on. I think these are the points.
Great. Thank you. Mr. Vardhaman, where does lighting now play a role in defining the health of an office and its employees? We've heard from an architect, we've heard from the developer, how it's the entire direction is coming from elsewhere. So how is it that lighting would help on the health and the good feel in the office?
Yeah, thanks, Meera. And I think the answer to this question is already in what we heard from Karthik and all the other friends who are here. But before answering this, I think let me thank, I would say, all the workspace innovators out here on the panel and out there in the audience who have helped us move from those traditional, boring, serious, and monotonous environments to the more vibrant and dynamic environments of today in the offices, and more importantly, environments which are more human-centric and collaborative. So I think that is where the key is. This entire transformation that is happening, what we see is because of the realization from the businesses that, again, like Captain Sharma mentioned, that employees are the most important assets, right? And to keep employees engaged is something where the organizations are investing most of their resources in, right? And hence it is no more about how do I make the space for how many number of employees, but it's more about how do I make this space so that it's able to engage the maximum number of employees, right? And when I look at our role, I think it is very much in line with this transformation. When we look at this transformation, right, there are two dimensions that we see here. One being the physical transformation, and the second one, as we've been talking, the smart transformation or the digital transformation, right? When it comes to the physical transformation, the new age offices that you walk into, or the new age offices that are getting conceived, we see, they are no less than maybe a 5-star hotel. You walk into the reception of these offices, and it's like a reception of a 5-star hotel. When you move further, you find spaces which are more for collaboration, more towards promoting the health and well-being. I mean, you find spaces like work cafes, restaurants, gyms, fitness centers. I mean, things that you would have never imagined earlier. I mean, the only thing that you would have imagined is an office full of cubicles and cabins. So I think that is where the shift is happening, and where our roles comes in this physical space transformation is, we are no longer developing products which you have to figure out how would they fit into your architecture, or how would they blend into your environments. They seamlessly blend into your environments. And Swagata was showing earlier on the slide. So products which effortlessly blend into your environments. For example, I think someone mentioned about biophilia, right? So biophilia is a concept that we are seeing is more and more getting into trend, right? For the reason that we know that we as humans are hardwired to respond positively to nature, right? So, and we are trying to get more and more nature into these offices in forms of plants, in forms of vegetation, etc. Right? So where we thought that we could add value is, and someone mentioned about sunlight, someone mentioned about the sun. So where we thought that we could add value is by creating this biophilia as a complete holistic experience, right? Where we thought we could add value is, as a lighting company, how do we bring in the sky and the sun to this environment? And that's where came a product like Nature Connect, right? Which mimics the transitions which happen in the sky and the sun throughout the day, right? And hence you get an environment where you are energized and active throughout the day, and also you get better sleep in the night, right? Hence promoting a better sleep-wake cycle, and also the well-being. The next part of it is the digital transformation, which more of is about how do we make these buildings more responsive to the employees' needs, so that they feel more comfortable in these buildings. Now, lighting as a service has a huge footprint. Like Swagata also said, it's omnipresent. It's there everywhere, and you can very effectively use it to understand how is the building getting used, the usage, the space usage data, right? The data on environmental parameters like AQI, and you could use all of this data to share it with the systems like the building automation systems, which would then accordingly take interventions to make sure that the building is always healthy and comfortable for the employees, which is what we exactly do with our IoT system known as Interact. So I think these are the two aspects, Meera, the physical and digital, where the change is happening. And we see that this is how we play an important role in enabling this transformation.
Thank you. Considering the dynamism with which we all are working, we've already heard the eminent panelists speak about it. In the next 5 years, what are the changes foreseen in the role of the workplace? Workplace. Be it the architect, developer, lighting, and the facility expert.
I want to take this because I'll never get an opportunity to have such renowned panelists with me. One is a developer on one side, there's a lighting specialist here and a renowned architect here on my left. My point is in the next 5 years, the buzzwords now is hybrid working, sustainability and green energy. And fourth is obviously the point. So the point is these are things that are coming back from the West. But the best part, whatever little I know after so many years in this trade is that energy consumption, 65% comes from air conditioning, and lighting contributes hardly 2.5 to 3% with efficiency. But we love to have our glass all over the place, like Americans and other European buildings where light is at a premium, whereas in a country like ours, tropical, which light comes free, and that's why can't you all think and create something? While the lighting can create the day lighting artificially, reduce glasses and create an environment which looks like external light coming in, energy efficient and sustainability taken care of. Sorry, I don't know whether it makes sense, but it's a thought.
So just to add on to the point what Mr. Sen Gupta said, in this context, if you look at few of the buildings that we have been doing, we have been focusing more on neoclassical finishes, and which contributes, which effectively reduces the loads on the air conditioning requirements because of the ratio that you maintain from the glass versus the facade that we have. I think this is one of the key things, when we design our buildings, we are taking into consideration what is the local environment, what is the local climate, which is required to do. And I think this will help build sustainability on a longer basis. Yeah.
Your responsibility now.
Well, the next 5 years looks very exciting for sure, because there is no lines drawn by anyone, and most clients are giving all freedom to the architects to come up with creative ideas. What I can imagine is less workstations, more collaboration. AFC won't be happy to hear that, but I think that that's going to be the take, and lesser meeting spaces, but more collaboration, more in the open, more informal, casual, and that's going to happen. And hybrid work is there to stay, so nothing is definitive. And when you don't know how many people will be there tomorrow or not, and where I will sit tomorrow in my desk, then there is more reasons to be more different every day, and that's what will bring people back in. So I guess that's how it looks to be.
As beautifully articulated by all, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. COVID hit us all, the pandemic. We didn't even know what hit us so hard. And that brought about a huge change for everybody. Just like the recent disruption, anything could strike again. Are companies really well versed in the processes of crisis management? And what are the lessons we've learned? Mr. Sadanand here has written a book on this, and I'm sure he can enlighten us.
Thank you. Again, no, I think
You're loud enough.
Yeah, my collar mic is working well. So, just to add one sentence more to what the previous discussion was, what is ahead of us in next 5 years? What we thought ahead of us was in 2018 for the next 5 years wasn't true, right? We found something entirely different. So it will be guessing as to what it will be. But the world is today at a very interesting space with technology doing so much. We are hearing every day something new about artificial intelligence and robotics and so many other things, bringing in new aspects and new experiences for different walks of life. And I'm sure that that is going to be true for the workplaces as well, right? So obviously, it is going to be an interesting period of evolution where the builders, the architects, the occupiers and operators would need to clearly evolve as we go forward. So that is the first point I wanted to make. Second, about the crisis. Obviously, crises are part and parcel of life, whether personal or professional. It happens at any time. It comes without warning. But if we look at the larger landscape and some of the past cases of crisis, it can be man-made, it can be natural. To certain extent, we can be prepared, we can deal with it, we can have playbooks and guidebooks and frameworks written. But when the crisis actually hits you, the experience generally has been that the playbooks and the guidebooks do not really come in much help, and especially if it is something which is completely unprecedented and unexpected like COVID. We already had the experience of actually building the plane as we flew it, right? We didn't know what to do. We kept doing certain things, it worked. And so we kept on doing more things and we moved forward and we completed 2 years. So essentially, when we look at an office related crisis, because I'm limiting my discussion about that within the limits of this panel. So how can man-made crisis impact workplaces or offices? If the developer decides to build a facility or a building at a place which is hazard prone, it is on the fault line, it is closer to a river which is emitting hydrogen sulfide every day, right? So you're creating a crisis for yourself, right? You have designs doing, as we heard, people see it should be looking good, nice, enabling movement and so many other things. But sometimes the architect's dream come true becomes the administrator's nightmare. I'm sorry, but it does happen if we really don't look at how we are designing the work floor, how we are designing the services and all other elements that goes into making the experience, as we discussed in the previous sessions. So it can be man-made disaster again, right? Obviously, this can be avoided by better thinking, better collaboration, better transparency. So that is one part. Natural disasters, when will the COVID hit? We didn't really know. But when a flood situation can occur, we can certainly know. Today we have much better technology to predict what can happen, right? So how do we deal with it? We can better be prepared. We can do our, provisions, wherewithal, building the capacities within the organizations to deal with that. Now, she mentioned about the book that I've written. I've written about how does a crisis situation like COVID, which we are not prepared when it occurs, how do we as professionals deal with it? How can we overcome that and emerge resilient and victorious? There are 3 elements essentially. One is leadership, other is how the team plays, which is the team dynamics. And the last one, of course, is resilience of both at the individual and the organizational level. So if we have these 3 elements playing well, we don't really need a playbook. We have dealt with COVID, and any other COVID can come, we can still do with it. This is what my small, thought about crisis management and how it can be dealt as we go. Of course, one more element is that technology will help us manage it much better now, with better predictability, better response ability. Thank you.
Would anyone else like to add anything more? Considering I think all of you all experienced changes during the COVID time and how you all worked, and each one of you would have reacted differently to the crisis.
Mr. Sanandan, thank you. I think we want out a few things very well, because in this particular trade, in corporate real estate services, I think all of us who are, especially from the various corporates, had a major contribution in handling the crisis, more with a human angle. And I think all of you all have put in extraordinary efforts. And I think if you all can, in a forum, just gather it together, and what Mr. Sadharan said, is going to be a fantastic database for how to get things done right. Yes, climate change is the main issue here. We as individuals need to be believing that we need to arrest it. The corporates are coming into this in a big way. Our government of India is committing to a lot of interventions, and there's a commitment by 2070 will be carbon neutral. Various organizations are committing to carbon neutrality at various points of time. Some of the multinationals have already become carbon neutral. Some Indian companies are coming at various points of 2030, 2040, and on and on. And so basically, as end users, there are two parts to address carbon neutrality. One is the supply side, and one is the demand. Demand, when your business grows, the demand grows. So how can we address on the supply side of that? That is where we need to look at. So I think it's a concentrated effort together that we have to work, and our experience that we have gathered in that disruptive stage of the world will definitely help us to think and take things very seriously. In my opinion, sustainability is not just the corporate's responsibility. Each and every one have to think on those lines and believe on those lines. Thank you.
Thank you. At this moment, I'd like to thank the panelists. I'm sure the audience have benefited immensely with the insights that you all have shared. Would like to conclude the conversation with a simple thought. Change is the only thing constant in life. And the sooner we all adapt, accept the change, and keep evolving with the situations, the better it is for all of us. As said, in every crisis, look for the opportunity. The recent crisis, the COVID pandemic, created an opportunity to change the role of the office. Thank you, audience. You all have been really wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Meera. Okay, I know we are running terribly late, but we have this really sweet book launch that C.T. Sadanand sir has kind of planned for us here today. So I'm just gonna get his books for him. I'm going to give this mic over to him, and he wanted the panel speakers to actually do the honors of opening the book for him. He wanted to just say a few words and open the books for them. Yeah.
So thank you, ITP, and especially Rashmi and team for giving me this opportunity. This book, as I mentioned in the panel discussion, is a small, treatise about how to manage crisis and what key elements come into play when we deal with operational crisis, as well as when multiple operational crises become a strategic crisis, how do we deal with it? Essentially, there are about 8 experiences which I have gone through, including the COVID-19 response, which I have quoted. And there are lessons at each of the experience which have been brought out. And what I again say is that in any crisis, when you really come to it, no playbook really helps you. It is your leadership, your resilience, your ability to deal with in situ, that really helps you emerge victorious. So thank you very much for giving this opportunity. Thank you.
Absolute, our honors,
You can show the video.
absolute honors. And I'm gonna call on stage Mr. Nitin Sable, who is the Deputy General Manager for Commercial Air Conditioning from Blue Star, and Mr. Mayank Tiwari, who is the Branch Operations Head for Nestle Professional, to please come on stage and do the honors of giving a small token of appreciation. First over to Ms. Meera Diwan. Ma'am, thank you so much for the efforts and the thoughts you put into moderating this panel. Thank you so much. We next have C.T. Sadanandan, sir. Thank you so much, sir. And thank you so much for putting into words your experience and your insights into crisis management. We next have Mr. Vardhaman Jain from Signify, who specifically put threw light on what lighting is all about in workspaces. Next, we have Mr. Manish Gupta, who joined us from the Hiranandani Group. We also have with us Mr. Rajiv Sen Gupta, the consultant for commercial real estate at HDFC Bank. Sir, thank you so much for taking your time out and joining us here. And finally, we had the architect on the panel, Architect Karthik Punjabi, the principal architect, BPCPL. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming. And ma'am, once again, a true honor to have you here. Please come on stage too. Before we start off with our next panel discussion, can we have the Hafley AV, please? With this, I would love to call on stage Mr. Gurunath Gavli, the Assistant Regional Manager from West India for Hafley, to give us further details into what Hafley is all about.
Good evening, everyone. I hope I'm audible clearly at the back. Someone can give me a thumbs up. Yeah, thank you, sir. So before I begin my presentation, I would like to thank all our customers and partners, and many of you are sitting here for trusting us for last 100 years. The journey which started in Nagold, Germany in 1923 is roaring strong till now. And really thank you, all of you, for giving us a chance to score our first century. While our global story is superb, our India story is at superbly best. We at Hafley India can proudly say that we are among the top 2 subsidiaries for Hafley worldwide. And it would not have been possible without the support of our partners and our customers. While we have many solutions for interior application for a residential apartment or for hotels, hospitals, etc., today we are going to talk about a range of products for corporate solutions. I have a paucity of time, but I would request your attention for not over 5 to 7 minutes. One of our biggest strengths basically is to give you solutions for various applications. And that's the freedom we give to our customers, that you don't have to rely on various partners for different products. We at Hafley can give you a range of solutions and application and product under one umbrella. And hence, we have product solutions for door solutions, sliding solutions, automatic walls, furniture solution, kitchen solution, appliances, lighting surfaces, and water solutions. We'll quickly go through the range of products from our door solutions, wherein we have automatic door solution, which goes into an entrance of any offices. Sliding system, we have n number of sliding systems in our range. Door hardware for all your glass door, wooden door, and style door hardware as well. The range of sliding, acoustic sliding wall in the video which was just played before that, and it was given a far more importance because the product is actually a very top runner when it comes to the corporate ecosystem. These are a few of the images of the product. Then the traditional door hardware, which talks about your door closures, hardware for your critical fire doors. Now moving into furniture solutions, we have your swivel tabletops, DigiLocker for your furniture locks, locking solution for your critical and important drawers as well. Lighting, we have range of lighting solutions for your furniture as well as architectural lighting, right from downlights to strip lights to architectural lighting as well. Pantry has now become a very critical factor for office designs. And whenever we meet a lot of interior designers, a due importance and time is spent in designing pantries as well. So we have range of solutions for your pantry applications, right from your door solutions to waste management, sink faucets, as well as the appliances for your pantry needs. We talk about dishwashers, refrigerator, coffee machine, or a kettle. Restroom is also one of the applications wherein we have our products for. We can give products for your wall cladding as well as the flooring options as well. Well, we have kept the last but a very important product offering from us, which is the Hafley stone surfaces at the last, because we are getting immense positive response from the interior designer fraternity of India to promote our stone surfaces. And we have done n number of projects for tabletop as well as office flooring. These are the few images of your reception area. Well, the product can be also used on your facade as well. These are few of the client lists which we have been part of, and we eagerly wait to add many more, in coming times. And this was not possible unless and until we have a strong backup from our design team who helps us in various design challenge and value engineering. So actually speaking, 5 minutes is far less a time to actually give you a glimpse of what product solutions we have. We have design centers of Hafley spread all across India, but especially for those who are in Mumbai, we request you to please do visit our design center, which is based in Mahalakshmi. I'm sure you're going to have an enriching experience when you visit our stores. So with this, I'll end my presentation here and over to the host for the next proceeding. Thank you very much for patient listening.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gavli. While we put the chairs back in, we'll just play a quick video for Blue Star.
मैं गर्मी हूँ, भयंकर गर्मी।
मैं अभी आया।
अरे बैठना यार, किधर जा रहे हैं?
ब्लू स्टार इन्वर्टर एसी का फास्ट कूल टेक्नोलॉजी, गर्मी की छुट्टी। ब्लू स्टार।
The next one is a very special one, as it's moderated by the curator of this particular conference itself. The moderator of this panel is Captain Rajesh Sharma himself, and the topic of this panel is the changing nature of work and the workplaces. And he has a special request that he's not going to join the panel speakers on stage. So I'm going to do the honors of calling the other speakers on stage for this. So I'm going to start with architect Alhad Gore, who is the principal architect at Beyond Designs. Joining him is Mr. Pankaj Soni, the Senior Executive Vice President and the business head for CREM at Kotak Mahindra Bank. Joining him is also Mr. Aman Malhotra, who is the head for administration projects and facilities at Piramal Enterprises Limited. We also have joining them Colonel Navinder Narang, who is the head for infrastructure, facilities and ESG at ICICI Home Finance. And joining them are Khurshid Gandhi, the MD for strategic consultant at Cushman & Wakefield. And finally, on board this panel is Nitin Sable, the Deputy GM for Commercial Air Conditioning Division, Blue Star Limited. So I am going to quickly call each of my panel speakers on stage, and I'll have my moderator somewhere with y'all in the audience, actually. So I guess he's going to surprise you all with that, but I'm going to give this mic over to him.
Okay, thank you so much, Rashmi. I just thought, let me figure out what's going on at the back. I believe there are certain incentives. So people standing at the back, guys, we are waiting for you to join in. Between you guys and the bar, there are 6 people on the stage. So it's your choice. Am I audible at the back, please? Guys, can you hear me? Guys at the back, can you hear me? Thank you so much for raising hand. Can you please come in front? Requesting everyone standing at the back to please come in front. CT sir, आपकी book release हुई है अभी. Okay. So I think interesting, our topic itself was changing nature of work, and we thought we'll change something. Why do moderator need to be at this stage? I mean, you don't need to see me. I believe you need to listen to us. So thank you so much, Rashmi, for introducing us. What I'll do is, like I always say, there is a story, but in the interest of time, I'll not start with a story. I'll end with a story. So one thing which I heard today while I was having a cup of tea at Nestle counter, someone said that if you use yesterday's tool in today's business, you will be out of business tomorrow. So I think that was pretty powerful, and which was obviously a reflection of the fact that change is one thing which is inevitable. We all know change is the only thing which is constant. The problem is we are not ready for the change. And I think keeping that as the basic frame, I thought, let me start asking a few questions with our panelists there. So my first question, I mean, how come all of a sudden we are talking about change? Change is always there. I've been in the industry like 30 years plus. Every time I see there's something changing. But what is that so different that these days everyone is talking about change? We have heard a lot about COVID and unfortunately the positives and deltas of COVID. But beyond that, I mean, in our day-to-day functional, what is the change what we are referring to? So what I'll do is I'll start my first question. And this is about this change. So maybe Pankaj, since you represent a company with a number of people, pan-India presence. I mean, when we talk about this change, what is this change? What change you have seen in last few years? Over to you, Pankaj.
So in my view, I think employee has become in the center stage of this change. So every change that what you're talking about is actually revolving around this employee. So employees have their preferences, their shift of preferences which are happening. There are a lot of shift of preferences. We have talked about many areas where the employee preferences are getting shifted from one area to the other, like open workspaces, more flexibility, more agility, better ventilation systems, other related needs of in terms of wellness and other health related initiatives which the employee is looking at. So employee has become at the center stage rather than an organization, which I feel is one of the prime most shift which has happened in this change. Second, I think it's if I have to just sum it up with a lot of thoughts which have been exchanged out here, is the evolving societal needs. So it is lot of things are talked about in terms of inclusions, in terms of sustainability. All those initiatives are also creating a lot of changes around us. So it is we as a corporate have to adapt to those changes, is something which is a greater challenge for us. Some comes to us naturally, some is something which we are working upon. So I think this is also making a lot of difference. Last but not the least, I would say that the technology advancement which has happened. So a lot of technological advancement in each and every area we talked about, whether it was from a builder aspect, whether it is from the service provider aspect, all of them are talking about a lot of technology which has been used to serve all the needs of the employee, the inclusion, the sustainability initiatives. So I think these are broadly the three things which I can sum up under everywhere where we are talking about on the change aspect.
Thank you so much, Pankaj.
Captain, one second. So I was saying that, while he spoke about the changes in the workplace, what about this change that a moderator is not sitting among us and moderating us from sitting somewhere in the crowd? So, that's also a change which is happening, and, we are enjoying it.
Thank you so much for reminding me. I forgot in between. I had to ask the next question, but I thought I am part of the audience. But coming back to what Pankaj said. So Pankaj, first two things I'll take on, employee and technology. And obviously, I'll move to Colonel Narang. Sir, in your view, like why there is so much of shore about this change? I mean, change is always there. I mean, what's so different in last 2-3 years and why we are so focusing on this change? This is also a change. Mic is there, but okay.
I got a question. So just to take back, in the prehistoric times, there was a civilization of dinosaurs. I wish you all know. I hope you all know. There was a huge asteroid which came and which triggered that change, and after which there were no dinosaurs. So here is a small virus that came in, and this has triggered the change, which probably will see us for future. Now, the problem is, how do we see this change? उसमें तीन चीजें आती हैं, if I can say in Hindi. First is, क्यों करना है change, which is now pretty much clear after 2 years. Second is, क्या change करना है, which I think the panels before us have enumerated, And third, which we now need to think is कैसे change करना है. Now, this is a very difficult question which the industry is actually struggling with. One way is to see, अच्छा अपना office ठीक कर लेते हैं, अपना building ठीक कर लेते हैं, but what about the ecosystem? We've talked about sustainability. Unless it's a circular economy, unless there's a whole chain built from start to finish in a circular manner, including waste disposal, including waste management, you really cannot say you're sustainable. Same way for digitalization. There are a number of technologies which have been tried in. The latest being extended reality, metaverse. Now, all these things, how do they apply to your industry? How do they apply to your offices, which are more important for you? So this is the kind of change which I foresee, which we have to get it now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Colonel Narang. I think pretty powerful what you're talking about. Basically, why, what, and how. And I think we'll definitely come to this. If I need to really summarize what I've heard Pankaj and Colonel Narang talking about, like they say, when we are kids, we are given pencils. When we grow up, we are given pens. I mean, there has to be a logic, and the logic is simple, that when you grow, you're not supposed to make mistakes. And I think what we have seen is last 2-3 years, because it was all of a sudden people are not prepared. So I think the change what we are reflecting here, talking about is all of a sudden which came in and were not prepared. But now, like you said, Colonel Narang, 2-3 years, more what we spoke about from pencil to pen or whatever we may call it, how has that impacted the CRE professionals, I mean, in reality? So since we have Khurshid here from CNW, maybe I'll request Khurshid to share his views. Khurshid, over to you.
Thanks, Rajesh. So I would say, and maybe slightly controversially, this has perhaps empowered the CRE, right? What's happened is CREs have come front and center from being a support function to being a frontline function in my mind, right? Phenomenal work was done through the pandemic. The ground reality is most of this was already supposed to have been done. We were doing it in bits and parts. We moved from 3% on average work from home. Today, subject to the industry you're in, it could be as high as 70%. If you look at spaces in Bangalore today, say what you will, whatever the developers are saying aside, and there are developers in this room, IT parks are no more than 35% occupancy. And that's the way they are likely to remain. Focus on today. And frankly, it's not people say it's the millenniums. It's not them. It's all of us. We benefit as much as everybody else, right? And I love the fact that now I have more breakout spaces than I did earlier, right? My team loves the fact that we've been cabinless for the last 15 years, but it's a huge cultural difference for a lot of our peers, right? They made the shift as well. But the ground reality is, if you don't change the way you work, and I keep saying, and I'll take something from Colonel Narang, right? Change is a constant, but sometimes you need a big kick to get it going, right? And this may be the asteroid from space.
I'll again come back to Colonel Narang on this. Sir, what we heard is in terms of the changes in our lives. I just need to know your views. How do you look at it, this change? Colonel Narang?
Well, I feel CRE professionals and leaders in the CRE industry, they need to not only be part of change, they need to be spearheading change. Because the reason is our business side of the industry still focuses more on business, and rightly so. But along with that, there is a huge need for the business side to start understanding two significant aspects, rather three. First is the digital transformation side of business. That also has to encompass the CRE part, the facilities management part. Second is the sustainability part, the ESG part. Now things are getting serious. It's about if these three things have to be looked into. I'm of the personal opinion at the current stage, no or very few corporates are at the right poise or the right stage to implement all three things together in the right frame of stage. So we really need to augur that kind of a culture. So coming to culture, the culture right at the top has to be created, and that can be created by each of us becoming an agent of change. So that is about the culture. Second thing is about the mindset, or I would say the heart set. Because now things have to come from the mind to the heart and get connected. So the integration is also supposed to be here. Once you do that, you will automatically feel the need of the employees, of the colleagues, of the stakeholders to implement what you must. That's all. Thank you.
So thank you so much. What I've learned is everything is pretty powerful, but this word heart set, mindset is always what we refer to. But since you said heart set, I think I'll keep that in mind. A lot of decisions, you are absolutely right. These days they flow other way around. It's from heart to mind, not from mind to heart. So I think that's pretty powerful. But again, quickly moving on. So this is good to know. So we spoke about change and we realized what is the change in the life of CRE professionals. We saw the book launch of Colonel CT, which gives me a sort of a impression that we have learned our lessons, but still I have my doubts. I've not read the book. He has promised me he'll give me one. But till that I may do that, just thought of checking with the speakers on the dais. So maybe question to you, Aman, do you really think as a company or as professionals, we have learned a lot? I mean, we are prepared?
I'll start with saying this, were we prepared earlier? When the COVID hit us, we were equally unprepared. While I heard the earlier speaker speaking that, the response time of all the corporates was so much better.
During my MBA time, we were taught any kind of a crisis management, you have some 5 to 6 steps that you need to follow. So first step, what they always talked about was that you have to have preparedness for any kind of a crisis. Then prevention is another kind of a thing what they talked about. Mitigation is another thing that what they talked about. And then recovery was another thing we talked about. And reaction was another thing. All these 5 tools, 6 tools, what they talked about, each and everything in good details. I think when I joined corporate real estate services, approximately around now 22, 23 years back, so I realized that these are also jumbled up. I'm not able to understand how to put it back into place, because when the crisis was happening, all of this preparedness was not working out. So something where in which it was as if like every crisis were giving me the in which a crisis can be managed inside any organization as of now, what I have witnessed. So what I would rather say that is that, what I've been rather working out for us was to communicate very effectively, which was one of the things which came in. That communication becomes so critical in our thinking. Once you communicate effectively, so you do not know who are all the affected stakeholders. Because once you communicate, each and every stakeholder possibly can take his own actions. So that was one thing which was there. And the role of leadership also, as we talked about earlier, also came into existence, because, flexible in that kind of an approach where we are going through that crisis period. So leadership was another role. And I think of all the other lessons that I have learned, I would say that being patient is one of the things that is very important, because sometimes, as we said, time itself actually gives us the way out, as it has done in pandemic exercise. So it's like somewhere across, we felt that patience is another virtue, which is very much important in any kind of a crisis situation. So that's my take for it.
Thank you so much, Pankaj. I think it's a tough one. Patience. I don't know how.
some drowsiness kind of thing. And it was very rare. In my 20 years of experience, there was one client who came in to ask me, this is the real problem. Can you analyze it? So we did an indoor air quality audit. And to my surprise, we found out that the CO2 level in his office were beyond the permissible levels. Like generally it is from 500 to 1200 ppm, but in his office it was somewhere 2000 ppm. So this is a real problem, and which has to be addressed. It is not something like as a developer, you have to give a good office to employee just for a namesake or on the paper that I am installing a well standard and giving it to my people. But on the reality front, it is the much requirement of today's need. Today's generation, people talk about. I have not seen people if 5 years back, your employees come. Like what kind of temperature I am getting, whether it is in the range of 20 to 24 or beyond 24. So there we have to have a controlled kind of temperature. So we have got technologies, we can give the accurate kind of temperatures, point number one. And point number two, again, is the flow of the temperature, as you asked. Many people say ki AC to acha hai, lekin I'm not feeling comfortable. It is just hitting on directly on my head. Or maybe you go in somebody's meeting, you will say, yaar, tumhara AC directly maar raha hai, just hitting me. So various types of airflow regulators are available. Various types of indoor units are available, by which you can give the comfortness to this particular thing. So this is, all about giving the comfortness to the employees. I would like to touch upon this point, air conditioning.
Scale. Are we really looking at a macro scale is the question, and this question goes to all the clients who are present here. And since I am probably the only architect on the panel, I have 4 points. One is, are we looking at UFAD as one of the systems? And of course, this question does not go to clients who have individual floors. It's obviously going to clients who probably build campuses or at least own an entire building. Are we looking at UFAD, underfloor air distribution, as one of the key factors in air conditioning, which is proven to take the entire energy for air conditioning down by 15 to 20%? Quickly, just to tell you, for people who don't know what UFAD is, it is underfloor air distribution. Rather than having ducts on the ceiling, your entire false floor acts as a duct and you place a grill wherever you want. And the floor itself throws the air up. So it's a unidirectional flow rather than you throw. The part is on top. How that happens is you take the air from the floor, take it into the workstation, something for AFC guys to work upon. It actually, there is an air beam which rises from the floor into the workstation and you get personalized air. I know personalized air is also not good, but of course there are ways and means to cater to that. So by doing that, you again reduce the energy that is consumed for the and the systems are available. There are a couple of offices in India which have been designed and executed on this principle. Third is geothermal. Are we talking of geothermal in any of the projects? Not many. So office spaces, why are we not looking at radiant cooling either during the construction of the building or post construction? You can still do it over the PCC. So
I think as a client, and it's a humble request from an architect, you need to push us to make sure that, we go an extra mile. And of course, capex, opex, all that can be discussed. There are, consultants who are there. But yes, let's go beyond the HEPA filter and UV light and think something different.
Thank you so much, Alad. I think Khurshid want to say
Rajesh,
something. Yeah, Khurshid.
may I just quickly add here, just to add to what you're saying? There's a lot of active related items that one does on, on your offices. I think the ones that we tend to forget or maybe skip are the passive ones, right? And when I say passive, there are certain basic things that we are not doing as design and architecture. We are building these wonderful glass houses. If you look at the bigger IT parks today, if you increase the current green cover by even 15%, it will result in a 2-degree drop within buildings. And everybody knows what a 2-degree drop between buildings is on energy efficiency. That's a 8% to 10% energy efficiency. So, ESG aside, and it's been driven regulatorily pretty significantly, we have to make a very conscious call to say, how are we improving offices? It's not just the interior experience, it's everything.
Thank you, Khurshid. I think in the interest of time, what I'll do is, though I had 2 questions, but I'll throw a last question. Request everyone to share their views. And this is something which is pretty sensitive, so people should not feel bad. The problem is in the industry. I will say I have to run this facility. I can't run this facility because there are so many challenges. So are you saying this is a time for them to at least work closely? And if so, do you really feel that's happening? I mean, I still see that gap all across in the industry. So I'm just trying to understand. So maybe we'll start from Karnan Naran. Sir, your views.
Yeah, I was reading something on metaverse, and I really was astonished to see this very question being answered there. The metaverse, along with the digital twin technology and the AR and the VR, in different measures, they allow you today to remotely collaborate in the construction phase. So your electrical design, your civil design, your network cabling, your ceiling, your other things can all be put into those kind of digital tools, the extended reality tools, which can make you collaborate very effectively. The question is, till that time, what to do? Now, there are some companies which are coming up. We have, I won't mention the name, we have started experimenting with one startup. So that startup, though it's only for facility management, it caters for everything, all collaborative tools between various stakeholders during interior project of a new premises. So it's got WhatsApp integration, it's got live input data collection and dashboard creation on a live basis. So such initiatives can really be good to help collaboration. That's the way I see it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Alad?
I think today we are seeing a lot of change. HR has as much say in a project as the finance. It's all about experiential office space. Just to give you a simple example, we are doing a small 20,000 square feet project in Pune, budget 7 crores. We are spending 1 crore on kitchen equipment. Why? Because it's a restaurant, it's not a cafe. People can actually go there at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's a la carte restaurant. Place an order. If you want pav bhaji, you will be served pav bhaji. If you want vada pav, you will be served vada pav. If you want chocolate mousse, of course, you have to order a day in advance. That's the level to which the clients are going.
Thank you, Alad. And people at the back, they have missed this opportunity to know उसको setting है वहाँ पर. So they'll find out themselves. Okay, Aman.
So my view would be that, why it was not happening initially, it's, I think, because the difference between CapEx and OpEx, I want my OpEx to be saved. And, obviously that was the main reason that, I would say that do this, which will be longer and better for the system. All that was working that way. But I think this is a silver lining of this pandemic that, the wellness has become the key. But the employees are now the decision maker. And I was hearing it earlier that in some organization, there was a employee list which is given to the architect that this is what you have to execute to do this job, So I would say that this is changing for a very, very good, So now the employees are
production line, we have people in, we have people out, we give them the basic. Okay, somebody wants to leave, give them a little more salary. Okay, somebody is high position, we'll give them a cabin, we'll give them a seat. Set model, it's not changed. In China, it's so bad. Who you are is defined not only by where you sit, what size your desk is. So if your desk is 2 millimeters bigger, you're higher up in the hierarchy. So it's like that, right? So that model hasn't, we've had variations of that. Fortunately, I would say it has now become more people-centric, but we can't take our foot off the gas, right? Regulatorily also, we're being pushed to do it. Our government has taken very clear, goals for 2070 through ESG. We are heading towards net zero. It's very, very heartening to see what we're doing on solar energy, right? By 2030, I can tell you 60% of our power will be driven by solar energy. And this makes a huge difference to office parks because we are investing in office parks. Now, there are regulatory issues. Solar power is still more expensive to purchase than other power, though it is cheaper to generate. But they're all getting sorted. Do I see a future which is better? Absolutely. But I think we as professionals need to keep pushing and not, get complacent. Otherwise, we'll have another meteor hitting us.
Okay. Pankaj.
Captain, very valid point you have raised. And I think the answer to this is not very simple because some of the things it is really very difficult to change. But I would say that, yes, there is a lot of collective efforts which are required by all the stakeholders. It is not corporate on one side or a builder on the other side or the service providers. All have to understand where we actually want to go. There is a out there in here, everywhere, across the buzzword is flowing in. So, but I think still the real action will come when all of us come together and define some boundaries to it. Because right now it is endless.
Okay.
It is my opinion about it.
Great, thank you so much. Last, Nathan.
Yeah, so I think so as Sir rightly mentioned that we have to come together, put collaborative efforts. My viewpoint is coming together at the right time is something very important. Creating a problem and then coming together to solve the problem, it doesn't make sense. So maybe for any kind of projects, all the stakeholders should be there at the right time to take the right decisions.
Thank you so
Thanks.
much. I think this right time is what I'm referring to, whether this is finish without a story. I said I'll have the story at the end. And this is this time for the people standing at the back. Before, sir, can you hear me? No, this was just a mic check. Okay, you can hear me. So I think story is pretty simple. And this has nothing to do with the topic also. So we have two gentlemen here. Nixon Pereira and Hemant, can you just stand up, please? The reason I want you to see them, they are schoolmates, like they are first class classmates, and till date they are working together. So that's to begin with. A round of applause for them, please. Okay. And the reason and especially I said the stories for the people standing at back, and this is the reality I've learned from them. Last, I don't want to talk about their age, whatever, 30, 40 years, they look pretty young. They've been so close to each other. They've been successful also. The reason is pretty simple. दोनों बदमाश हैं, इसमें तो कोई doubt ही नहीं है, and that's the reason they work in my team in HDFC. So that's one criteria. But right from childhood times, once they decided to bunk a school, now the challenge is they didn't have chuttis left because chuttiyan to sab le lete the. So how to bunk a school, and they planned a strategy. That we still feel there is something else beyond that. So probably we'll miss what we have with us. And I think that's a very clear message. And I always say this to my team. A lot of times, a lot of good stuff is very close to us, but we don't look at it because we always try and look for that goat number 3, because किसी ने दिमाग में डाला हुआ है कि goat number 3 है, but actually में है नहीं. And I think coming back to now the topic and what we heard is change. If this is one change we can probably build in ourselves, that will probably ease our lives. That's what I've realized. If there is no third goat, and if we try and find out, we don't find it, let's leave it. Don't waste time on that. So that was the last message which I had. But on that note, thank you to all my dear panelists for your time. Thank you for your patient listening. And as always, thanks to Rashmi. Okay, guys, we are done. Sorry. So I know we are late, but one gentleman really wanted to ask a question. You wanted to ask, sorry. So maybe one question. And if that's tough one to the toughest people there, in any case, I'm not supposed to answer. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so myself, Chaitanya Gupta. I'm the part of Tata Communications Limited, and our office is in BKC, Mumbai. So my question to the air conditioning experts, whosoever is there, maybe they will try to answer this question. So generally we are keeping the set temperature in our office 24 degrees. So we try to always maintain the regulation between 23 to 25 by keeping 24 degrees. Now, as you know, our design is linear design. So 4 employees are sitting next to each other. For same temperature of 24, 2 employees are saying we are feeling hot, 2 employees are saying we are feeling cold. So basically how to
I can't take your problem, but what I can tell you is that
Sir, अकेले भी नहीं, जोर से बोलो, सबको सुनना. आप तो कान में डरा रहे हो उसको.
if I जोर से बोलो तो what I'm saying is, air conditioning in Indian office corporate world evolved with time. Initially, there was no consultancy in air conditioning. Air conditioning was pushed by the air conditioning makers. So they sold as much of air conditioning. So over the years, the corporate world has accepted a temperature of 22 degrees centigrade to 20 degrees centigrade. technically it is not required, but it's a change, and mentally some of them cannot accept. Of course, there are regional differences, and our AC technology has not evolved to the point, they might, whatever they might say, the experts, that in one area they can be having a consistent temperature that they would like to have in a data center, in a workplace. Correct me if I'm wrong, sir.
But the way you have spoken to me, I cannot speak that much to my employees. No? They will not listen me.
So in a
They
layman
just-
language.
I think that I'm giving you the problem. And
or I would.
Okay, guys, I think we are
So,
digressing a bit.
You rightly said that no, I think other solution could be a jacket for colonel and no jacket for, sorry,
Thank
captain,
you.
jacket for colonel will work. That will solve the.
Thank you so much, guys. Like someone also had a question will not ask because एक वो point था कि वो कहते हैं ना ये विभोर सर बहुत से लोगों का question था और मैं वो close कर रहा हूँ. वो कहते हैं ना शाम का वक्त हो और शराब ना हो, इंसान का समय इतना भी खराब ना हो. तो हमारा समय उतना खराब नहीं है. विभोर सर ने बोल दिया, इशारा कर दिया, बंद करो. नहीं, on a serious note, guys, thank you so much. I think it was wonderful to be with you. Thank you so much.
The director for Dormakaba India, and Manoj Tomar, who is the founder for AFC Systems, to quickly give this wonderful panel and this brilliantly engaging moderator a small token of gift from our end. Nitin Sharma, sir, and Mr. Manoj Tomar.
Guys, if we don't hear it for us, Mutudhar, the curator of this event, Captain, please give him a huge round of applause. I really want to hear this. One more time. Thank you.
We next have the small token of this for architect Alad Gore. We next have the facility manager in-house, who was Saman Manotra. Have the small token of appreciation for Mr. Khurshid Gandhi, who is the managing director at for strategic consulting at Cushman and Wakefield. I'd like to present a small award token to Mr. Pankaj Soni, the executive vice president and business head for CRE at Kotak Mahindra Bank. And finally, to Mr. Nitin Sable, the Deputy General Manager for Commercial and Conditioning at Blue Sky. before we wanted to play a small video that Colonel Narang shared with us to conclude this panel, a video that was on this topic that he wanted to share with you all. So I request my team to please play the video.
This platform, we have a gut feel that it has capabilities to allow us to build a virtual Singapore.
So if you look at the product innovation platform and taking that into a citywide context, the power of the platform comes from actually bringing together different types of information, different types of data,
3D experience.
different types of data.
Environment, an authoring environment in which you can simulate if-when scenarios within it.
Once you have data and you tag them into a 3D map, that allow us to visualize some of this data and spot patterns, spot trends that can actually help us, especially in Housing and Development Board, this will further improve the way that we plan and design our towns and estates.
Singapore is a city-state, and there's very little room that actually we can experiment with plans. Just Singapore eliminate the necessity of trying these plans out in the actual physical environment, which we have very little space. Today, the world is ruled by massive amount of data, and moving forward, we will
lights, noise levels, infrared temperature, as well as motion and counting steps. So it's really useful as an analyst to look at the data in 3D because we end up having broad questions, which we can then drill down and see the details using such a platform as a virtual Singapore platform.
We have seen a large amount of interest from other cities across the globe as to what is actually going on here in Singapore.
We're trying with this project in particular to harmonize product, life, and nature in order to arrive not only at a, let's say, smart city, but more importantly, perhaps as a more sustainable, smarter living.
Yeah, this was just a glimpse of so-called the future smart cities. And we're talking about smart offices. I think if Singapore as a country, as a small entity can do it, we can hope one day that our own BMC in Mumbai will be able to come up with something like this in future. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now, just one final, we have this honored felicitation that we'd love to felicitate here an individual who's given and contributed so much to the industry. I would love to call on stage Mr. Rajiv Sen Gupta from HDFC to felicitate him. Srivastava, the MD at ITP Media India, and Mr. Gopal Jha, a wonderful gentleman who leads the F&B division for this beautiful place here. Mr. Gupta, please come on stage. We would love to felicitate you with this honor, sir. Along with this, we just want to quickly share a special moment also here. I would love to, request the gentleman to stay back. Or we just have a birthday of a very special guest here, and I'd love my team to please get this cake on stage. And Mr. Sen Gupta, if you can please stay with us on stage for this.
All right. Manoj, absolute pleasure. We're celebrating his birthday today. He's been an incredible person himself, both individually and as partners to ITP. I think whatever smart office is today, he plays an integral role. So give him a hand, please. And let's celebrate for him. May I sing with the ladies? Happy birthday to you.
Let's all sing the birthday song. Let's all sing the birthday song. Let's all join